After months of anticipation, the World Series of Poker is just 3 days away. Hello out there, all you poker junkies. This is Compncards. I am bringing you a pre-WSOP edition of the Poker Junkie Podcast. This year, Melissa Costello and myself have been hired to bring you coverage from the 2010 World Series of Poker at the Rio All Suites Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. Some of the things that we're going to be bringing you throughout the summer are going to be obviously blog posts and various articles on PokerJunkie.com. However, another segment that we're going to bring you regularly is the Poker Junkie Podcast. Melissa couldn't join me for this initial broadcast because of the fact that she is on vacation in Nicaragua. However, I figured I would give you all a brief introduction and let you know what to expect from this podcast. We're hoping to bring you interviews, news stories, results from events, and other little cutesy stories from around the Rio. Now, we haven't quite come up with who we're going to be bringing on to the show as of yet, because those ideas are still cooking in my head, and Melissa has a few more contacts with the individual players than I do. However, I can tell you that a couple segments that you should expect to hear are segments with Matt Stout, who is also known as All In at 420 on PokerStars. He is one of the up-and-coming players on the poker circuit. He has a WSOP circuit ring, as well as 2 recent final tables, both in 2009 and this year at the circuit event in Tunica. He's also had a 3rd place finish in the World Poker Tour. And Matt has agreed to come on to our segment at different times throughout the series, and we look forward to having him with us. Another segment that I'm planning on bringing is a Ask the Tournament Director segment, where we will go around to different tournament directors and ask them scenarios, primarily in tournaments, but basically whatever comes up in the play of poker, we'll give them scenarios, and some have agreed to give us their thoughts on how they would rule in said scenarios. And beyond that, you can pretty much expect anything this summer, because obviously it's all up in the air. The World Series has not quite started yet, and if you have followed the World Series at all throughout the years, you know to expect the unexpected. I mean, we're liable to bring you anything from a scooter race between Dole Brunson and Amarillo Slim to, who knows, we might have a striptease contest between Mike Matusow and Ted Forrest. Of course, I don't know how many people would actually want to see that, but hey, anything could happen. And of course, obviously, if 3 women happen to win open bracelets this year, we may even bring you video of Mike Matusow streaking down the strip, which personally I still think would be good for poker, but hey, I'm a little twisted, so shoot me. Anywho, that's just a brief introduction of kind of what to expect. I know it's not a very long podcast because really there's not much to tell. Of course, the World Series does start on Thursday officially with satellites. However, the first open events do not kick off until Friday. The first event is actually not an open event. It's the $500 Employees Championship, which I personally think should not be a bracelet event, but it's historically been a bracelet event, and so they're going to go with it. The first open event will be Friday evening, which is the $50,000 Players Championship. This year, the event has been changed to an 8-game. In the past, this has been the $50,000 horse event, and throughout the years since 2006, this has more or less become the Players' true World Championship. Daniel Negreanu, in a recent interview that I did on PokerJunkie.com with him, stated that the main event is really not a true test of poker anymore, that's really not really the World Championship. The $50,000 Players Championship is the true test of poker, and it is one reason they switched over to 8-game. The only thing that I don't like about it is the fact that it will be no limit hold'em only at the final table. However, most hold'em monkeys want to see no limit on television, so ESPN has to go with where the ratings are at. Of course, I personally would much rather see 8-game played throughout because, I mean, No Limit will still be a part of the 8 game, but you can't really argue with the ratings too much because they have to go with what brings the people to the television sets. Anywho, after Friday, of course, there are going to be 55 other bracelet events going throughout the summer. One of the highlights will be the $25,000 six-player No Limit Hold'em event. That event, expect there to be a lot of internet players, and that event very well may be a final table where you don't recognize a single name. And then again, it could be 6 top name pros. It's really going to be hard to tell in that one. However, I'm going to lean towards there being primarily internet players at that final table. Of course, the main event will kick off on the 5th. And will continue all the way through until the 18th of July. When I say the 5th, I meant the 5th of July. It'll kick off and it'll run all the way through the 18th when they will come to a final table. And the final table will return in November for yet another November 9. And I personally predict that the ratings for the November 9 will plummet this year. Because if Phil Ivey could not increase ratings, then there's going to basically need to be, either Ivy's going to need to be at the final table with a chip lead, or there's going to need to be some very popular pro, such as Daniel Negreanu, or somebody like that, in order to bring people to the television sets. Because the November 9 concept by itself, I don't think is going to be a strong enough draw to bring people. But that's my personal opinion, and you're welcome to disagree with me. In fact, if you have any suggestions for this Poker Junkie podcast, feel free to either leave a comment on our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook at Poker Junkie. You can find me on Twitter at Compncards. Or, if you would rather just email us directly, you can email me at compncards@gmail.com. Compncards is spelled C-O-M-P, the letter N as in Nancy, cards. All one word, compncards@gmail.com. And of course, if you have any, like I said, if you have any suggestions, any ideas for segments, or if you want to even drop a question to ask a tournament director for the tournament director segment, feel free to. Otherwise, Melissa and myself will be seeing you throughout, will actually be talking to you more so than seeing you throughout the series with this Poker Junkie podcast. Of course, if you're out and about in Las Vegas and coming by the World Series Poker, feel free to stop by and say hello. Otherwise, until next time, this is Compncards signing off, and good luck to you.